Today is the first day in Macedonia. We're going from the town of Kumanovo, taking the R1204 highway to a town called Sveti Nikole, or St. Nicholas in English. And man, this was probably the roughest day of cycling. It wasn't so much the roads being bad, it wasn't so much huge elevation gains, it was the headwind. The unbelievably strong headwind that I had the entire time. So let's get into it. The first order of business for the day was to find a bike shop to get some air. The pumps that I have found at like petrol stations are really bizarre, and you had to like plug in a certain PSI, and a lot of them didn't go as high as I would need to put in a bike tire. So I was trying to find a bike store. So there was two in Kumanovo that I saw that were open on the day that I started this ride. I went to the first one and I searched for probably like 20-30 minutes. Google Maps was saying, I'm right there. But the building that it was, they sold sausages, not bikes. So the chance of finding an air pump there was probably pretty low. The other bike store was conveniently located on the opposite end of the town. So rode to the other side of town, found the bike store, and I mean, it looked like some guy's garage that just had bikes in it. It was in the middle of a neighborhood. It didn't really look like a store. But the guy was super nice. Filled up my tire because I got a flat crossing the border. Used CO2 to get me to the hotel, but CO2, one, the cartridges didn't get my tire to the pressure that I like to ride, especially as way down as it was. And the CO2 I found kind of dissipates rather quickly as compared to air. So I really wanted to get, some air in my tire and get it back up to the proper pressure. So got to this bike shop. Guy was super nice, and he was adamant that I drink the local water. He said it's full of minerals, all this stuff, and he was really nice. And I don't know, there's been several times when I've been traveling where somebody's trying to offer you like a local product, and just the look on their face is, they really want you to enjoy it as much as they do. And in those situations, it's very difficult to say no. So I drank the local water in Kumanovo, and I wasn't quite sure what to expect. Apparently there's two bike shops in Kumanovo. One, it was updated as of 4 weeks ago, but they were selling sausages and I didn't see a single bike. So I came to the other one. Really nice dude. Filled up my tires for me. I think he might have overfilled them a little bit, but whatever. Yeah, and then he gave me a bottle of water, and he said it was Kumanovo water. I don't know if I should have drank it, given, I don't know if my pampered American GI tract can handle the water out here, but he looked really happy and looked really excited for me to try it, so I just drank like half a liter of the local water. So we'll see how it goes. After getting the air, all my errands for the day were done. As soon as I got to Macedonia, I had to go register at the police station, because that's how they do border stuff, I guess, instead of stamping your passport. So I had to do that. I had to get a SIM card. I had to get some local cash. So I did all that, packed all my stuff up, showered, got back on the bike, went to the two different bike stores, got some air. So by this time it was like 12 p.m. It was about noon. And I was really trying to get to a town called Velis, which is about 50 miles away from Kumanovo. Figured this should be doable. It shouldn't be that difficult. Sure, there was quite a big climb getting out of Kumanovo, but it should be okay, right? So stopped off, got lunch in Kumanovo, and then started the ride. As soon as I got outside of Kumanovo, that's when the wind started. very strong winds, very strong headwinds, combined with the pretty good climb to get out of Kumanovo, really slowed me down. I think going up that hill, my bike computer said I was averaging about 5 miles an hour, which isn't very fast. It took way more energy than your average climb would take, and it's demoralizing. But once I got to the top of where this hill was, and I began, to go downhill a little bit, that got even more demoralizing because my bike, especially with all the weight, I when I go downhill, I effortlessly gain speed. I was losing speed going downhill. That's how bad this headwind was. It was just so frustrating, and I was going so slow, even downhill. After I got down the hill and got into the flats, I was still averaging, maybe 8 miles an hour, maybe less. Just brutal headwinds. To the point where when I would stop and, take a drink or something like that, and my feet were off the bike would blow back between my legs. That's how strong this headwind was. It was absolutely brutal. At about 2 p.m., I was only about 10 miles into the ride that I started at noon. So I was giving it a lot of effort, and I was eating the energy gels, I was eating some other food I had in my bag, and I was just flying through my water, which, I was looking at the maps, and there was a petrol station about 8 more miles from where I was at. And I thought, okay, fine, whatever, I'll drink my water now because I really need it. It's hot outside and I've been working hard. So I'll drink my water and I'll be able to refill at the gas station. No harm, no foul, right? Well, this gas station had been abandoned for quite some time. After my heart sank seeing this abandoned gas station and realizing that there was no water to be had, I took a look at the maps and noticed that Sveti Nikole was only about 18 miles away. So I'd made it halfway in about 2.5 hours, and there was literally nothing between where I was at and where was supposed to be like the halfway point of where I was going. So yeah, completely out of water, completely gassed, super tired, and I had almost another 20 more miles to go in 30 plus mile an hour headwinds. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Conceding that the next couple hours were gonna suck, I just got back on the bike and soldiered my way through. There was a few times where I stopped to utter some swear words very loudly, and yeah, it was unbelievably frustrating and probably the most difficult day of riding I had on this entire trip. That headwind, without the headwind, this would have been a pretty pleasant and enjoyable ride. But just the fact that I'm giving it everything I've got and barely breaking 10 miles an hour unless I'm on like a proper downhill. And even still, on the downhills where I'm finally breaking 10 miles an hour, without the headwind, I would have been breaking 30 miles an hour. It was a long trudge to get to Sveti Nikole. I got into Sveti Nikole right around 4 p.m. The very first thing I did was go to the first petrol station in the town and chugged about 4 liters of water and filled up my water bottles. That was the best thing I've ever put into my body ever, was that nice, cold, water. I was so thirsty and so exhausted. It was way later than I thought it would be, and I was like, all right, I'm tired. I need to get something to eat. Something other than s'mores flavored energy gels. And it's getting late. Don't know if I'm gonna be able to push the extra like 20 something miles to the town of Veles. So, okay, there's plenty of hotels on Google Maps. Let me just go to a restaurant, get myself sorted out there, find a hotel, and just reevaluate. The restaurant that I ended up at, I didn't really know this at the time, but apparently it's like the most famous restaurant in all of Macedonia. And with good reason. That food that was there was just, oh my god. That was probably the best food I've had in Europe. If not the best. Very, very close. And although food tends to taste better when you're exhausted and you're starving, it was phenomenal. And yeah, like I said, apparently this is like the most famous restaurant in all of Macedonia, and for good reason. It was just unbelievably good. So it was a good consolation prize to not making it all the way to my destination. Was this, I think it's pieskovica. It was like a burger, but it had like mincemeat and cheese inside the patty. So like when you cut into it, the cheese just started pouring out. It's like cutting into a fried egg, and the yolk spills out. But instead of the yolk, it was mincemeat and cheese. Oh my god, it was so good. From there, I moseyed on down to the town square, and there was a couple of hotels there. Well, none of them had rooms. Go figure. And by this time, the sun was starting to set. So it's like, okay, if I did go to Veles, I'm going to be riding to Veles in the dark. And it's still windy as can be. And I don't know. I wasn't trying to ride all the way to Veles. So one of the girls that was at one of these hotels, she was at least nice enough to call around and to some of the other hotels in the area to see who had a room available. There was one hotel that did have a room available. This is possibly the strangest hotel I've ever been to. So, in America, there was a TV show, back when my parents were kids, called The Andy Griffith Show. They lived in a town called Mayberry. Well, the guy who was the proprietor of this hotel must have really liked Las Vegas and must have really liked the Andy Griffith Show, because it was called the Mayberry Highway Hotel. The sign was like the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, but it said Welcome to the Mayberry Highway, all in English, no Cyrillic. It was bizarre. You can look this up on Google Maps. They were going through renovations, so I didn't want to take any video inside the hotel, because the guy running the place, he was very nice, and it didn't really look like they were open, but he was willing to give me a room for a very affordable price. So I didn't want to put footage of the renovation, whatever, because the room wasn't great. The hotel wasn't great, but you could tell it wasn't great in the sense, it wasn't that it wasn't great because it was run down and crappy. It was more that it wasn't great because they were in the process of renovation. So I would hate to say, this really nice guy's hotel, yeah, it looks like crap, because I bet by now it looks completely different and it looks a lot better. So didn't do a whole lot of footage on the hotel because I didn't really want to put him on blast like that. I bet it looks really nice now. So thank you to the purveyor of the Mayberry Highway Hotel for at least giving me a room and not making me sleep in a hammock in the wind. I was going to sleep in my hammock, but believe it or not, there wasn't very many trees around here, so I'd have been shit out of luck. So, finished off the night at the Mayberry Highway Hotel, and yeah, what a day. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.